All right. I'm supposed to see me. Well, there's the caricature of me, but I think we're live. It's time! Yeah, how's everyone doing? We are back, live, geeked up and good to go. God, how I've missed you guys. Not this guy so much. Hoping I'm pointing the right way. This guy? I'm gonna go with this guy. Not this guy so much. This guy I see all the time, but you, the faithful, the brethren, my brothers and sisters, former lovers, and Javi, really excited to see everyone again. I have been unable, due to professional responsibilities, to carve out any time during Summer League or the preseason, or as I like to look at them, the best fucking times of the year. But just by watching Twitter scroll come at me every day, I can tell that you were extremely well taken care of by my good friend, my faithful Padawan, unlikely to slaughter younglings. Here with you as always, freshly coiffed hair, chapstick recently applied, your very own Kawhisenberg, Zach Graham. How are you today, Zach?
I'm fantastic. Glad to have you back on the FTN airwaves, Eddie. And some shout outs are in order for, Josh Gross, Kyle Murray, Joe Metz, Stefano Vaccarino, Javi. All those guys came on and crushed the preseason as a team. And that's what we do here. So obviously I know everybody's excited to have you back in the fold, going live before lock. We've got composite ranks this year that you and I are kind of communicating on every day. And a ton of them today, obviously, with 22 teams on the slate. So I'm excited to kind of get into some of the players that we kind of disagreed on a little bit.
Sure. I think that's going to be a great point. Again, I've taken a job as an executive. I have authority. I have to wear pants more often than I'm used to. So that's been a change for me. I like whoever it was. I assume Wes Craven's cream of mushroom soup is Zack Snyder's non-fungible human or whatever. That has to be the same guy. So first of all, +1 point for being your amusing self. I enjoy your nomenclature, your nom de plume, if I will. Still exciting to see that always. And also getting the first smash on me on air. We were 1 minute into the first show of the year. I haven't aged a day. Someone would argue my goatee even got younger. There may be dye applied to the goatee. I wouldn't have a problem with a gray goatee, but I have a black goatee with like one stripe in it that has to get cleaned up. Otherwise, it looks, somewhat ridiculous. So, I have to look good now. Like just for men. Can you explain the new Fast Eddie ranks? Let's start there. So, I took a job as an executive at SuperDraft. And it's a very exciting place to work. And it's good for you too. I wouldn't spend 2 minutes talking about just myself. But besides the fact that I have some fair amount of authority and I like you guys and I'm inclined to be generous, there's going to be a lot of ways for you guys to make some extra money. For example, tonight, I don't know if you've revealed the thing here. Zach put a link, said, who likes SuperDraft? Click on this thing before. And 20 people clicked on it. You all get a ticket to tonight's main event. That's it right there. It's $15 value. You just got that for clicking on a link. That's pretty good. We're going to do that shit a lot. I'm going to do some trivia. I'm probably going to do some karaoke. At some point, I will probably pour an energy drink on my head. All these things are likely to happen. But throughout, there will be a theme. I'm excited to be on the SuperDraft team. They're really great. We have new products coming out. They're going to be really great. We're going to raise some of the prizes. We're going to do all kinds of really exciting stuff. I'm hiring people I like who are of quantity. Rob Gardner, you may remember him. These were his old haunts. He works with me now. And this guy right here, this bum, this so-and-so became the first Texas resident. I have a non-Texan policy, which I violated, to bring this guy back on stream. So to talk about the new rankings, there will be days that I start with the rankings and he edits them. There will probably be more days that he starts with the ranking and I edit them because I don't have much fucking time anymore. I'm going to be honest. My time has gotten very, very thin. I am told I have a child. I haven't seen her in a while, so I need like a proof of life there. But the people at FTN have done a great job of allowing me to be around. I'm going to be on every Wednesday, put in a lot of work on that. I'm going to crash a couple other shows during the week when I feel like I have something to say. If I think I'm watching the show and these guys aren't covering something and I'm not currently being worked to death, boom, I'm just going to rush the stage like some crazy Usher fans. So that's going to be great. But the rankings will be a composite of my opinions and those of this fine, erstwhile, redoubtable, vertiginous man sitting right next to me. Is it Rob sighting? Rob Gardner. I said his name and he appeared like fucking Candyman. Look at that shit. I haven't seen Rob I was just in Vegas for 3 weeks and Rob was in Vegas the whole time. I didn't see Rob, but I say his name just once. Boom, shows up in the chat. Another good man and thorough. Will never get enough credit for the job he get of getting FTN off the ground. He's very much in demand. I can't even get him full time. And Zach will tell you, I'm just giving away money like it's nothing. Like at this point, and still I can't afford the Rob Gardner full time, but he is helping out. Some part-time helps us with college football and stuff like that. So anyhow, that's how the rankings work. The rankings have been simplified from cash and GPP to just one number for a couple of reasons. One, again, time. We're going to two sites, SuperDraft, the official sponsor of the show, and your best place to play. And the place, I'm going to give you all kinds of free tickets and fun stuff that'll make it worth your while to show up. If you haven't already, you should make an account right now. If you haven't, use code, it's FTN. Help me out here. Code FTN to sign up gives you, I think, a $100 bonus on your $100 deposit. That's really good. You should get that $200 for $100, and then I can give you more stuff. And if you don't have an account, you don't get any of that fun stuff.
Well, a 1x playthrough on those bonus funds, I believe. So no slow drip there. You can
turn the 1x playthrough on those bonus funds. It's just. I believe technically, not that I'm encouraging this action, but you can literally deposit $100, get a $100 bonus, withdraw $100, and look, you've got a $100 bonus. I'm working on that. We're going to do a better job with that. But, so the rankings, as asked and answer your question, are a composite of Zach's thoughts and my own. Now, Zach and I have done a couple hundred shows together. We see pretty much eye to eye, but they're going to do a couple nice things. Once when we have it, for example, he had Giddy at a 10 today. I thought a 9 was a more appropriate number, and that he would be in line with Suggs or some of the other excellent rookie value. I imagine we're going to discuss that. So it's going to provide an apparatus for him and I to discuss things. We've gone from a cash and GPP number per site because frankly, the cash numbers are relevant for 93% of you approximately. And while I like to bring that up, it'll be easier to do in the contest of confirmation. Getting more states, working on New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Louisiana in short order. Those are all hopefully this year. Indiana isn't there either, for fuck's sake. Yeah, we are working on it. There's any number of meetings, but please continue to yell at me and I will get that stuff done. So now we are already 7 minutes after the hour. We will have more time for trivia and giveaways and other bullshit. Once we get to lock, we have 53 minutes as we get towards lock. Obviously a little early in the year, so we should not expect a giant swath of massive news, but we are waiting on a few things. Zach, if you've had time to peruse the landscape as I bloviated for such a long time, how are things looking out there?
Yeah, it seems kind of like I'm looking at FanDuel right now. That's about to fill. DraftKings, I'm still loading up. I got a lot of windows open here, Eddie. You know, with the ranks, trying to give away these tickets, which I believe everybody who responded to me by the deadline I set, that ticket should be in your account by now over there on SuperDraft. So make sure you get in that main contest tonight. And pulling up SuperDraft right now, the NBA page.
I have 70K, I think, with $50 for first.
Yeah.
Overlaid a little last night, but hey, look, it's me. People are like talking about me. Here, I'll just like this and retweet it.
It looks like if this is accurate, we are at 1,600 out of 5,300 in that main.
So that's not a lot. We're 52 minutes from lock and doing some quick math in my head. That's like 31% full. That's not very full. So, you should get some of that. We are working on being fully available to you here on the FTN optimizer. So you will be able to one button click, crunch, and pile drive our shit.
It does look like the DraftKings main, I believe, was a $15. I believe that is filled now, not in the lobby over there. So again, that's what your opportunity for some overlay, massive overlay potentially, is on SuperDraft tonight. All
right, so Jaylen Brown is going to play.
Yes.
The Wizards starting lineup came out. That is what we expected to see. The Raptors starting again. Raptors starting Precious Achiuwa. So that is interesting that he is getting the nod at center. He should probably get an upgrade in our ranks. He was pretty low. I wasn't sure he was going to get that start. Obviously, part of that three-way timeshare there. I think we expected, if we don't know for certain, that Chris Boucher is going to make an effort at things. He had a bad finger, but that appears to be much better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way to go here is let's do a smattering through the games real quick, like 2 minutes or something. Maybe special attention for the first few that are going to go at lock. But let's go through, talk about some of our favorite players, guys we like to have a conversation, look at the ranks a little bit, see what's going on here. How's that sound for you?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm actually going to go in right now. I was kind of waiting for that Precious starting news, even with Boucher there. He didn't play the entire preseason, and Precious was fantastic at 3,100 on DK. He is now at 10 for me, and at 1.85 on FanDuel. SuperDraft. I would have no issue making him a 10. I think 9 at the worst.
9 at the worst there. So I'm going to try to reproject that. See, like I have a feeling he's going to be in the 28-minute range for me. But let me look and see if I can figure out a rotation as to how I think this is going to go. That's going to be interesting for me. I had him at a hair under a fantasy point a minute, but 3,100 obviously makes him good there. So SuperDraft, again, using the multipliers. We want a guy who we can realistically think is going to get up 60. So 1.85. And by that, I mean a modified 60. So hypothetically, if you had a modifier of 2 and I thought he was going to get 30, then, I'd project him for 60. And that would be very good. Almost nobody on the slate today would actually project for a raw 60 on SuperDraft. I don't think anyone quite gets there. Most guys end up in the mid-50s for me, the top tier guys I really like.
Somebody made the SuperDraft pricing tighter than a DraftKings or a FanDuel. I don't know who that could be.
Which is really funny because last year when I was working on that pricing and you were on this show, you were constantly like, dude, what the hell with... So...
I had some practice on what needed to be fixed, I guess.
The fun, that is you. We're supposed to remind people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're back on YouTube. And you get to be some of the founders, the originators. If this is anything like the last YouTube channel I regularly did shows on, eventually there will be thousands of you. And it will be very hard to do trivia. But for right now, maybe that could happen. So let's so Precious Achiuwa. Sorry, we were doing a little math there. I would think right now is going to project somewhere, maybe it's going to be like 26 minutes. I'm going to take a minute on this. So they didn't randomly start Boucher at the 4, which I thought was a very small possibility, but that didn't happen. So unsurprisingly, so they started Barnes, Trent. Wait, hold on. Let me go back and look at that starting lineup. Make sure I got this right.
Should be Dragic,
right.
Van Vliet, yeah.
No Trent, not present. Okay, so Van Vliet next to Dragic, Barnes, Anunoby, and Precious. Okay, that's all right. Now, from that, take a look at this and see what we expect to get out of him. Got consistently about 0.95 fantasy points per minute in that matchup. So he's playing with the starters. All right, we're gonna have to mute the phone. People are going a little nutters. I'm excited to be back too, though. So I think you would end up with something to the order of, let's go with 26 minutes and 24.5 fantasy points, modified by 1.85. That's not bad, but it's going to land you in the high 40s. That's about 48, 47. That's not super exciting. So I think 10-9 DK / SuperDraft is a relevant differential. I think,
and that's somebody. Precious is somebody that I think just inherently higher on because of how well he did for us in the preseason.
Sure.
With the same starting lineup.
He had a tremendous preseason. So if you want, we can bounce around a little bit. I sort of want to. Let's talk about so the Wizards actually in Toronto. There's also it's a fun, it's a.
We're back.
Yeah, we are back. So obviously interesting that we are getting the start for Precious over. I thought Khem Birch was likely going to get the start here now that we got to the regular season, but obviously Precious has proved himself a little bit. But there are going to be minutes for Birch and Boucher. So I have trouble projecting Precious Achiuwa to get more than, I think 26 minutes is a little ambitious. What say you? Because that's honestly what we're talking about here.
You say 26
yes.
Precious is ambitious?
I think that may be a little.
I would have that being about right. I personally think that this Toronto team, obviously Precious coming over in the Kyle Lowry trade alongside Goran Dragic, If you look at the front court, like Boucher is 28 or 29 years old at this point. Kim Birch, probably never going to be a starting five on a good NBA team. I just think that Precious is kind of the future of this front court as it stands now from their pool of assets in kind of the rebuild that Toronto is going through. I think they have a lot of incentive to make Precious their primary guy down low. And so I have no issue getting him right over that 24-minute range to 26 is right what I would kind of have in that.
Yeah, I just think so. Guys, we expect to play. Well, I'm looking at the matchup. You're dealing with Washington. I believe we saw the Washington starters already, and those were as expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuming they're running out, that's
Dinwiddie, Beal,
KCP, Kuzma, Gafford.
Yes.
That is not an overly large team. So I think we can suggest, especially with the Raptors team construction, that we're not going to see really significant amounts of bigs playing at the 4. So I think our Chris Boucher minutes at the 4 end up being pretty limited. So when they're starting with Van Vliet next to Dragic, and Barnes, who has a decent high usage at the 3, and Anunoby at the 4, I think we get center minutes for all 3 of those guys. Mm-hmm. And that gives me some concern that we can project. Now, again, on DK is $3,100. Even at like 24 minutes, he's going to project for close to a fantasy point a minute. That's very good to outstanding, depending on how all the other rookies on the slate do.
Yeah. I think on SuperDraft, he just kind of fits into a very small window of players that are at kind of 1.75x or higher today in terms of their multiplier that I would actually consider playing. Like Tyrese Maxey is number 1 in that range for me. Jalen Suggs at 2x, but I think Precious Achiuwa might come in right behind those two for me.
Just a quick question, since I saw it fly by me in chat. Someone says favorite SuperDraft centers. Mine might just be Joel Embiid. Yep. You're on the raw score, but I think Embiid actually still lands as my favorite. He has absolutely no multiplier. He's running in there at the 1.0, but that's 54 to 56 fantasy points. I think it's not an unreasonable projection. There's obviously all the ceiling in the world. It is not a great matchup, but I think any negative feelings about the matchup would be more than irrigated by the absence of Ben Simmons and just the chance that he's healthy and his minutes should be more towards the top of his range. So maybe you're getting 2 extra minutes out of him. So I think Joel Embiid is my favorite center on Super 15. Hey, there's apparently $100 free roll there on SuperDraft. You can try too. That's the Super 15 format. That's nice.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say, you mentioned Super 15 there. I don't know if that was kind of a Freudian slip or not, but Super 15 mode, if you haven't played yet, right now I'd push you towards the mobile app to fill out your Super 15 to kind of get the full experience there, but really cool new game mode that's pretty self-explanatory if you're ever on Twitter or any other social media app. You get $15 to build out your 5-man roster with 5 tiers: $5, $4, $3, $2, $1. And I think a lot more to come with Super 15 offerings down the road.
Yep. So there's a interesting question there that just someone came out with: your favorite value shooting guard on DraftKings. There are a few. Now, Scotty Barnes is small forward, power forward. But there's Duarte, Jalen Green. I'm trying to get the full number there, but I would say it's Chris Duarte or Jalen Green. Chris Duarte, let's see. Do we have the confirmed lineup for the Pacers?
I have not seen one.
Okay, because again, they have some amount of thinness on the wings. I think it's worth pointing out. I would probably, for GPPs, which I assume is the general presumption, probably go. I think right now I'm probably on Jalen Green, then Suggs, then Duarte, but still really liking all 3 of them. how do you rank those three guys right now? They are all shooting guard eligible. Those are the top three value ones. I'm top of heading. I feel like I may be missing Max is point guard only.
Would you Duarte, Green, and Suggs, you said?
I had them in the order of Green, Suggs, Duarte. Is how I think I would be as well. For tournaments, I feel a little dicey. Again, a lot of this I'm going to defer to Zach here, who's spent more time in preseason, summer league. So I feel a little sketchy on ownership at this point.
True.
And I think Green will hold the most ownership of those guys, which is one of the reasons that I'm fairly ambivalent on those three. So I'd get pretty close, I would think, to an even split on those guys.
For me, Duarte is a clear third. He had a lot more opportunity in the preseason. Obviously, LeVert, TJ Warren out, but Brogdon was out with a shoulder sprain, which, by the way, I have some big-time concerns just about his longevity. I think his medicals are kind of concerning, have been since he was drafted. Yeah,
it's a shame he got DeRozan away from the team before they got the chip. So that was a shame for him. That might be the only point there. So I would agree that. I would say this. Yes, a lot of that was with Brogdon out, but we're still dealing with
Lamb being in or not is going to be big for me.
Right. Lamb has, and we don't have Lamb news yet, which is a little interesting because we're 40 minutes out. But we're still dealing with maybe not 100% Brogdon. Justin Holiday, I don't think is confirmed in and out. Karis LeVert's obviously out. Jeremy Lamb is out. And he's still going to play next to Torrey Craig, who's going to play 28 or 29 minutes, I think, as I was messing around with guessing a rotation. I would have some exposure to Torrey Craig. He can be a 3-and-D guy and do what Patty Mills did last night, and I don't think he's anywhere near the tier of these other value guys we're talking about who project for more and have higher ceilings. But if I'm building 150 lineups, I would have some Torrey Craig in there. He's going to almost certainly start at the 3 next to Duarte and Brogdon, and they're going to start Sabonis next to Miles. So both Craig and Miles can be pretty low usage guys. So while I agree that having Brogdon out was a further cookie to fall into my own and old descriptive terms, I still think he's going to get more tonight than he will much of the year when you get all the guys back in the TJ Warren, and they're missing a lot of dudes on this team. So I still think he might show out a little bit. So for me, he's third, but not a far third as you described him.
And he would become a lot closer, kind of just right in the mix with those guys. If you get Lamb or Holiday out, both of them out, I think then I would have questions about maybe bringing him above those guys.
Yeah, he would get very close if they both ended up out.
Yeah. We've gotten a couple pings, Eddie, about Mitch Robinson, which we did get Knicks news. Nerlens Noel will be out, and Taj Gibson will be out.
Okay.
So Mitch Robinson, I believe, only getting one game in the preseason under his belt, but played significant minutes in the 20s range.
Yep.
So I don't think his minutes will be limited.
Thibodeau specifically said he had no issue with allowing him to play a lot of minutes. He was specifically asked, hey, with what's going on in the preseason, and Thibodeau said he's been doing a lot in practice, and we don't have an issue with him getting a lot of minutes. And I might add, this isn't a normal NBA coach saying, I don't have a problem giving him a lot of minutes. This is, when Tom Thibodeau says, I'm comfortable getting you a lot of minutes, you reach for the icy hot. That's...
Yeah. I mean, Eddie, even in the summer league a few months back, Tibbs not even on the court, but just because he's in the organization, you can count on those main guys to play massive minutes.
Yeah. That's how that has to go. So, let's go with the new Mitch projection. And probably a new Mitch ranking, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I'm pulling that up right now.
He's getting into that Rob Williams if we're looking at this game at once. So I got Mitch or Rob Williams here. Let me project you.
Would Mitchell Robinson at 1.8x on SuperDraft become a 10 for you now? I already had him at an 8.
Yeah, I think 8 was appropriate before. I thought Nerlens was going to suit up. I thought they I'm trying to remember Taj's issue, but
I think Taj is personal, and Nerlens has been dealing with injuries kind of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's fine. Nerlens, I thought would play, but I knew he was suspect. Taj is personal. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think I'm going 9-10, 9 DK 10 super.
Okay, so let me ask a couple questions. Preseason, how much Randall and Toppin did we see at the 5?
Randall, I don't remember any Obi Toppin at the 5.
Okay.
It was we got a lot of Taj in the preseason, and Nerlens did play a couple games.
Right, I saw that. So I'm gonna look this up a little bit. Is Jericho Sims?
He's with the big league team. Yeah,
he's the 2A. Is he up?
I believe so. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how many minutes I'm getting out of like Mitch Robinson. If you tell me I'm getting 35 minutes of Mitch Robinson, then he's double tens and a great scoring guy, and just him and Time Lord slapping into each other for a few hours is like fan fiction for me. Like I want to write a short story about that.
As you do that, would you stray away from pairing Mitch Rob with Julius?
Would I stray away from?
I'm not sure it's something that I would like set a rule to do if I was building lineup like MME builds, but like on an 11-game slate, it seems like I'm limiting my upside playing both front court guys. Like not really like Mitch obviously at a discount with what minutes he's going to be projected for, but Randall's not really.
Yeah, I expect Randall to still get his. Like the rest of this team, like Thibodeau's had some interesting comments about his first unit and his second unit, and there's weird stuff with sort of the dichotomies between Fournier and Quickly and Rose and Kemba. So there's obviously a shit ton going on here for which I don't have necessarily a great sense. But I would say I would probably not on a slate this big want both of them, specifically because one of the ways this gets squirrely is the fact that Mitch doesn't play that much and Randall plays a big pile of center. So there are enough high upside. And again, day one of the season, we didn't get too much into game theory, but this is one of those days you kind of just want other people to fuck up. There's really good value. There's studs who are going to be, too low owned relative to their upside. I like playing, Jason Tatum as a Celtic. I don't think he's owned enough in this format. And I think he could have a monster year. Obviously,
there's the news. News we were waiting for. Yeah.
We have Jaylen Brown news, but there's Horford is out, so like a Bob I think is even a little bit safer. So that's really close. But I think I would generally be disinclined towards. I think I would probably hard rule it. The matchup isn't so good. Again, it's a legit bad matchup for the Celtics, but the matchup for the Knicks isn't so outstanding that I would be trying to get that exposed to those two guys. So I imagine I would hard rule it just because there's enough ways that one wrecks the other and there's enough really good centers. So I think you can still build perfectly compelling lineups without having to expose yourself to a fairly obvious downside.
So with the Terry Rozier being out news, we'll get some rankings on Ish Smith and Cody Martin. But what does that do for you? Like we just got a question about James Bouknight. I don't personally think I'm going to go there. I still think even with the extra opportunity Bouknight will see, that those other guard values, specifically the rookies that we talked about, I still prefer greatly. And then you can add in my guy Josh Giddey, who's I think only small forward eligible on DK.
I think that's right. So yeah, they're gonna. So without Terry, I imagine they'll start Cody. So remaining in Charlotte Martin, who splits up twins like that. They did it to the Morrisons. They did.
I know.
I know how much you like to talk about the Morrisons.
Now, the Heat have a Morris and a Martin.
Right. They're trying to collect them all. That's nice. They need a Plumlee and a Zeller, and they can Rozier out, and we're off. Everything off. Pants off, dance off. So they'll announce their starting lineup. And I imagine Cody Martin will slide in there if they haven't announced it yet, people are saying that there's news. Did the news include the actual starting lineup for Charlotte? They are an early game, so like we should get this momentarily. But I imagine they will start Ball, Martin, Hayward, Bridges, Plumlee.
That sounds right to me, yeah.
So as far as the value guys there go, I would probably rank the value guys Martin. I think I would go with Luke over Ish Smith.
Okay.
That's close. That's interesting. I'm gonna look for some comments there. But it's someone Winky in the chat very reasonably pointing out that LaMelo Ball, who already felt like a pretty outstanding play for me. Yeah. Tough to have a great guess on the ownership, but he just does a little bit of everything. I don't mind either of the balls today. Well, no LiAngelo, but I don't mind either of the other balls today. But yeah, the Hornets that I saw in the preseason look extremely well catered to him. And I think it's worth pointing out as well how bad the Pacers defense was. And I think that he's going to be able to do a lot with that. So, yeah, I think LaMelo is getting very close to a 10 for me. Certainly a strong 9.
Sure. Joe coming in, saying Eddie loves balls, huh?
Factually accurate. Bridges will play. That's not surprising. I'm not surprised if he said he had the knee tweak or whatever that was. The rest of this game, obviously, we are waiting on. The Bulls will start Ball, Levine, DeRozan, Williams, and Vooch. That was definitely going to be the case there. I like Nikola Vucevic a fair amount. If I was doing like cash and GPP rankings, I would definitely consider like the old 8-10 for him. I really like the matchup for him. There was one game towards the end of last year, someone can stat check me on this, where Vooch tarred him really well. And Vooch has, for a long time, talked about the fact that he does really well against shorter centers. So he's in there against Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, who's 6'9".
Yeah,
he's on the shorter side, so Vooch can and frequently will shoot over him. The price isn't particularly brilliant, doesn't rank out raw points as necessarily the best. Like, there's obviously a big consideration as to how the usage is going to shake out on the Chicago team. We have pretty decent preseason samples to look at this. I think, Lonzo does end up getting the biggest haircut, and I think DeRozan takes a step back. And, Coach had a lot of comments about how, Levine continuing to push the paint was critical. I love this team on offense. I really like the Bulls on offense. I think they're going to be pretty shitty defensively. I need to see more. Lonzo has, a couple marbles for that. Pat Williams, there's a real upside for Pat there, but they're going to have trouble with a lot of things with like DeRozan, Levine, Vooch on the court for 22 minutes a game together or whatever it rotationed out at. So, but long story short, yeah, I think someone can stat check me last year. I want to say it's like 37 and 18. Like he put up a number on Beef Stew the one time they played that Stew started. They played at least twice. There was Plum Dog in there in front of him once, but there was a bit of slapping there. Who has the higher score potential, MPJ or Anthony Edwards? Due to the position, I mean, that's one of a few amazing games on this slate, so I don't want to bury the lead that. So we're talking about these early games a bit. The late games are better. Like just as far as like raw points, and you get the chance of additional news to break. So a tiebreaker of does this game start at lock, I would generally let people go a little more often than not. I'm not saying I don't like some people in those games. Obviously, I like the centers and the Celtics and the Knicks. I like Vooch. I like a lot of centers, apparently. But as we get into those later games, you get some real garbage. All right, what's going on here? Rocket starters: Wood, Tice, Jalen Green, and Silas would not say.
Gotta be Eric Gordon, right?
He's given us 3.
When KPJ.
It's gonna be KPJ and Gordon, I would assume. Eric Gordon might not start. That's been something that's up in the air.
Unless Kevin's throwing soup again. Like, why would he not?
He's been known to throw soup.
I'm
The man
notorious
is
soup thrower.
There's the starting 5, and now I try to remember what the members of the Hornets look like.
It's the 5 that you listed.
It is Cody Martin they throw in there?
Actually, no, that's Oubre.
I was about to say, that's Kelly Oubs, right? He jumped in there? All right. No, that's
interesting.
What do we expect out of him? They're going a little big. They're getting a little beefy. Yeah, it's Kelly Oubre.
Yep.
They do love themselves a good borderline starting corn-fed Iowa white boy center there, don't they?
They do indeed.
They actually rotated a Zeller to a Plumlee.
They did.
I wonder if they even knew. They were just like, that guy was here, right? No? Yeah. Is Bane your favorite guard under 3,800? I don't think Bane can be my favorite guard on a lot of really good guards.
Not even really close for me.
We got a lot of questions. Did he answer the MPJ or Anthony question, Kawhisenberg? I would probably go with Anthony Edwards over Kevin Porter Jr. in that game. Now, there's a lot going on with both of these plays. But
Duarte starting, by the way.
Yeah. It's all happening. So, good. And Justin Holiday starting next to him. So, he is playing at the very least. That's what I thought was going to start. So, goody gumdrops. Yeah,
hit him with a 10 now. I think I'm hitting him with a.
It's really close because they are all so tightly aligned that making one of them a 10. Right. So this has always been the tough thing with the rankings for me. So I have 4 value guards and wings, 6 value guards and wings that are all really good. And at least the top 3 or 4 of them are really, really close to each other. So if I make one a 10 and not the others, I'm making a strong statement of principle, which is one of the reasons I've thought of going up to 100 on this damn thing. So that I can go 97, 96, 96, 95 and express some of the nuance. No, I would not go with the 10 or standard thing. I like him. I'm going to keep him short of a 10 as we have been a little more restrictive with the 10s this year.
Gotcha.
Don't forget the greatest white center in Charlotte history. Ooh, Primoz Brzic. So KPJ or Anthony Edwards. I think I would play Anthony Edwards for a couple reasons. One, so there's a few small reasons I want to do this. One, the ownership will be lower. 2, the Rockets perimeter D was already going to be kind of ass, and having Daniel House out makes that even worse. I think KPJ is more expensive by a little bit. I think he's higher owned. I already said that. But also KPJ, I don't know. He's going to get – I just think they're going to defend the shit out of him. They're going to sit Josh Okogie on him for a lot of the game. And when they don't sit Josh Okogie on him, I think they sit Jaden McDaniels on him for a lot of the rest of the game. And I just think there's people there to guard him while there's no one there to guard Anthony Edwards. So I would probably project KPJ for just a hair higher. But the more I look at it, I think I would rather put Anthony Edwards in a lineup. But I think they're both very strong plays. And the Timberwolves will start who I thought they would. They are starting McDaniels and Okogie, and those guys are going to pay some fair amount of attention to young Mr. Porter. Don't call me Michael Jr. Who is that? Who was Jr. Esquire? It was him,
KJ
right?
Martin Jr.
That's KJ Martin, right? Kevin
Esquire.
Jr. Martin Jr. Esquire
Yes.
Jr. Yeah. Is there any good chance Maxey doesn't start based on the shenanigans from last year? Yes. Be fucking watching. Maxey goes to the back of the line for me. I think Zach did the original Maxey ranking and made him a 10, which I left, which I think is a perfectly reasonable way to go. Do I think Trey Murphy starts? I don't. I think you maybe get Josh Hart. You maybe get Najee Marshall for that unknown fifth starter for them. I think you get, all right. You're going to get Graham, Ingram, and Valanciunas.
Yes.
All of whom I'm fine with, by the way, but Ingram probably my favorite there. Valanciunas.
Yeah. Well, Alexander Walker should start as well, right?
Right. I think Alexander Walker is 92. The other ones I think are 100%. They're going to start Graham, Ingram, and Valanciunas. I think Nikhil is like 95%. And then someone's going to fill that 5 spot.
Yep.
I think I'd say Josh Hart, then Najee Marshall. then all the way down to Trey Murphy. So, but yeah, they do all kinds of weird shit. But the fact that Shake Milton is also out makes me more like, if Shake Milton was in, I would really have more concern over my Tyrese Maxey exposure.
I agree.
I still think I like him a little less than Zach does, which is to say I have him at a very similar tier to Suggs and all these other value guys we're talking about. And I can see him getting nuanced, and I can see you getting some Seth Curry point guard, which is a thing that happens. I can see you getting some Tobias Harris ball handling. Like, there's just enough ways it goes sideways, but there's also just simply an enormous upside. And it's honestly a pretty good matchup. So that's how I would talk my way through that. Let's talk about Giddey. I will give you I will do a Mitch Rob projection. I will go back in here and try to make a guess here. But Scotty Barnes' favorite food is baked beans.
Yeah.
Oh, beans. That's exciting.
Yep.
Or Anthony Edwards. I know, God damn it, I said it. Did I not say Anthony? I answered it.
I thought you said it.
I thought I got there.
If you didn't, we're clear now. So yeah, Josh Giddey.
Yeah, let's talk about Giddey and let's talk about Desmond Bane. Let's go through all these value guys.
Sure. So just starting with Giddey, I was not as high on him from a DFS perspective coming into the preseason, and then just watching him both on the court and then kind of internalizing the box scores afterwards. I think this is a guy that's going to get a lot of minutes, at least to start the season. We never know how long the Thunder will allow their young guys to play into the regular season. But since they're all relatively healthy and, of course, active for this first game, I expect 30 minutes from Josh Giddey. And at 3.8, this is a guy who, I mean, going back to the Australian League last year, obviously it's not the NBA. And I'm not making the comparison, certainly on a career trajectory standpoint, between him and LaMelo Ball. But his stats in the Australian League, we didn't get to see him in Summer League. He tweaked his ankle like 2 minutes in. But then in the NBA preseason were enough for me to, at 3.8, small forward eligible, and at 1.75 on SuperDraft, have significant interest in Josh Giddey, who can contribute really in all 5 categories. And I'll say 6 because as a young guy, he'll probably give you more than a couple turnovers if he's playing 30 plus minutes.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I have Giddey, like you had Giddey at a 10, and I tiered him down to a 9 on at least one side. I'm trying to remember. I redid some math there. I'm matchup concerned.
Yeah,
which I I think is fair. They're even in Utah, which, people talk about
elevation.
Denver a lot, but Utah is 70% of the altitude of Denver. So like there's an air up there type issue that isn't irrelevant here. I just don't know how, I think it's safe to say that Favors won't be doing a lot, but Dort has had some big aggressive games, and obviously SGA is the guy we think a lot of. So I'm just again, I have him in that same tier. I have him very similar. I have him slightly better than Duarte for slightly more money. When I look at him at 1.85, I need him to get 30 raw, which I think is very possible. I think I'm on the upside for his minutes. I have like 32. I don't know what Josh Giddey minutes you have, but that's about where I'm sitting. So I'm fine with it. But I think he's about appropriately owned, and he just batches in there with those other 6 or 7 guys for me. Lots of questions here. Barnes over Bane today. I would have Barnes over Desmond Bane for me, and I'm a
Where's all this Desmond Bane love coming from? Like on this slate?
He's going to start against the Cavs, who suck and are rolling out their worst defensive matchup. Like, I'm just saying
he's
that's
option 5, right? On that, or I guess he's option 4 with Funaki there in the middle. I just don't see the appeal to Desmond Bane at all on this slate, really.
I don't have it as at all. I think he's now. I think it's worth pointing out that Taylor Jenkins, the coach of the Grizzlies, really likes to do his 10-man everybody chops in the middle type thing.
Yep.
And tends to limit starters' minutes among the guys who are in that tier. So there's who the fuck am I thinking around? So like Dylan Brooks is out. So like that's the other thing that people are saying. I think normally Desmond Bane does not start. I think is my point.
Yeah.
I think you get,
but then he's also got to produce. He's not a great fantasy producer.
I'm getting there. You get Morant, Brooks, slow-mo Triple J, and Funaki in there. So he's really cheap. He's 3,200 or something. And he can pick up steals and stuff. Like there's a ceiling there. Like I do have him below all the other names we're talking about. But again, on that scale to 100, if I had those guys at value plays at 99 and then 96, I said, and then like Giddey for me would be a 94 or 95 with Suggs and those and Duarte, they're all sort of wrong in there. I'd have Bain at like a 91, which is to say, I think he's a perfectly acceptable cash play. I think he plays in the high 20s in minutes. I think there's enough of a ceiling there. But I also see him talked about a lot. So I am a little more disinclined. I like Barnes much more than him. I think I have him projected for 2.5 or 3 more fantasy points. So I would rather go with Barnes.
We haven't even gotten to like a $3,700 Trez Harrell, who's going to probably play 22 to 26 minutes, depending on foul trouble with him and Gafford, and who's playing better between those two kind of energy bigs. Like,
that's a question. Let's bang out some more of these and keep talking. Sabonis or Randall on DraftKings?
I'm going Randall.
Setting aside correlation, I think I'm going Randall now. I would have said Sabonis if like Taj was in, or if Nerlens was in. But the chance of getting 16 minutes of center Randall or something is very appealing for me. So I will. That will be enough. It would have been very close regardless. That's enough to tilt me slightly Randall over. I think previously I would have been slightly Sabonis. I like that game a little better. Wood and Ingram or Randall and DeJounte Murray? I like all those men. Those are all good men and thorough.
I think Wood my least favorite of the 4.
Yeah, barely for me, but Ingram is my most favorite of the 4 from a dollars and cents standpoint.
I agree.
How much I expect them to produce. So that's very close for me. I would probably run Randall and Murray in a tournament as just slightly lower owned, but all 4 of those guys have very low upside. Embiid or Cat? I have Embiid, and I'm a huge Cat fan. I have Embiid projected for 1.2 fantasy points more than Cat. I think he's also owned a little bit more, so I'll throw up my hands at that one. Like I'm fairly ambivalent on those. Again, but I don't feel I have a great sense on the ownership at the moment. Sense on the ownership comes from me having 4 hours a day to peruse Twitter and read a lot of other people's content, and people dump a lot of chats and they're like, hey, here's a thing you should know. I haven't been doing as much as that. So my current uptake and understanding of ownership is not like a year ago I would have turned to you and said, I am the best person in the world at knowing NBA ownership. And I think I could have statistically backed that up to some degree. I'm not there at this point. I'm a shadow of my former self, but I'm working on it. So that's where all the Bain stuff comes from. Let's look at some more questions. Holy shit, there's a big post in there I hadn't seen from Russell Miller. Russell Miller, nice to see you again, by the way. Duarte, Barnes, Bain. So Russell Miller, who both you and I have a lot of respect for, lists sort of his top value plays there. He has Achua. He has him at 22.5 minutes. That's a little lower than I would have said. I think I would end up landing on about 24, but that's sort of the conservative. You said maybe as many as 26. I think that's the aggressive. He has a note here that says Duarte out of play if Lamb or Holiday play. That's obviously no longer accurate because, well, he's starting even though Holiday's starting alongside him. He has Barnes and Bain as his preferred targets. You and I have obviously disagreed there. But other than that, we're pretty close. He has Maxey and Green a hair over Suggs. I think that's right. Jaren Jackson Jr. being a huge target. Dinwiddie being a huge target. Yeah, your list here, I'm 90% in agreement with what Russell Miller posted about 20 minutes ago. And that tends to be the case because Russ has a good head on his shoulders.
Eddie, did we read off Piston starters? Because we did get those.
Let me make a guess. You're bringing it up, so I'm guessing it's not what I was going to expect. But I would. Well, all right. So they're going to start Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Isaiah Stewart.
Yep, that number 5 is right? the wild card.
Let's try Frank Jackson.
There you go, Frank Jackson.
Was it? Okay.
It was. I thought Josh Jackson might get out there.
Yeah, like they really like him in that 6th role. And Casey doesn't tend to make that sort of...
What's up with Hamidou Diallo? Like, can he not play that spot? And he's been hurt, but...
Yeah, he's been dealing with some shit.
And Spurs going...
I like a lot. I don't know if I bumped Suggs up to a 10 on, but Suggs had the flat 2x. So if you look at SuperDraft again, there's a number of guys there who have like 1.85 to 2x. There's a really relevant goddamn difference. If you put up 30 raw, that's the difference between 55.5 and 60. 0.15 is a very relevant differential there.
Spurs going who we thought they would: Eddie, Murray, White, Johnson, Dougie McBuckets, and Jake Puddle.
Yeah, 3,200 starting against the Cavs. The Cavs, apparently, people are talking about going biggity big, starting Lauri Markkanen at the 3. Boy, that team's going to be shit defensively. I don't know if we've seen that yet. Precious is going to be way too low. It's interesting. LaMelo and Nurkic or DeJounte Murray and Wood. All right, so we've got a new one there. Is it worth it? Yusuf Nurkic? I think I would go LaMelo and Nurkic there. And also, you're keeping salary free for Nurkic, which can change into something else if, God forbid, that late game, which is already the Uber Super Saiyan game anyway, turns into something else. 2 late games. There's another late game. The other one's Denver and Phoenix, which is much shit for fantasy. And then this one's Sacramento and Portland, which is, nobody plays defense. You love to see a sub 10% Bradley Beal. Yeah, I like Brad at that ownership number. So your downside would be Nick Nurse has guarded him very well previously. And, but I guess the best reason to do it is the fact that Dinwiddie is going to be the most or second most owned player. The top 2 owned players on the slate are going to be Spencer Dinwiddie and Jaren Jackson Jr., right? Is that – I feel like the value
I've heard that
a lot.
I've heard the Jaren Jackson Jr. ownership numbers kind of being thrown around, and I understand that he's at a nice price, but I don't really – like that's the guy who I couldn't really get to with volume at that ownership.
Yeah, I have no problem being like, look, it's Jaren Jackson Jr. It's always been – a movable feast. I don't want 60% on Jaren Jackson Jr. That is a guy who's inconsistent enough that I think if there is obviously a number at which you don't want that. But so a couple things. One, matchup. Like this Cavs team is going to be pretty fucking terrible defensively. I don't know if they're worst in the league terrible or just bad. Bad. You're no longer losing all like the Valanciunas usage. So it's not even like yesteryears. Like you're talking about like how you don't like Desmond Bane because of his low usage. Okay, let me know when we hit the high usage guys in this lineup. You ready? He's going to start next to Desmond Bane, Slow-Mo, Funaki. So, okay, yeah, like I like Ja Morant. I think Ja Morant really had, like, if there were, like, Ja Morant, I think deserves more consideration than he's getting. I don't think I'm hearing his name quite as much as I would like to. But if you told me right now that Triple J was going to be 50% owned, I would have trouble fading him, and I like fading 50% owned guys on giant slates. I like just being like, yeah, that guy can. He likes to get hurt, but that's a tough one. I feel like that significant ownership is reasonable. Would you play Barnes and Precious in the same lineup without consideration? Is the Opto up to date? I don't even know what that means. Spurs will start who we thought they were. I'm catching up. You would definitely be all in on Nurk. Would you play Barnes and Precious in the same lineup? Yes. Thoughts on Tatum today? I think Tatum is an excellent GPP play. We're obviously not getting the full Jaylen Brown experience. Tatum's preseason usage was incredible, and his ball handling has looked better. And I do think I have not always been in the full Twitter circle jerk Jason Tatum. He's only 14 years old. Thing going on for a while now. This is as ambitious as I've been for a Jason Tatum year now. Kemba time turning into smart time, I think, is a benefit for him, especially Jalen not being 100%. The matchup is garbage, but I just don't think he's owned that much, and I think there's just a chance of massive usage. I think you're going to see triple doubles this year. I think you're going to see some shit out of Jason Tatum, especially the new coach. So, yeah. Does ownership matter on an 11-game slate? Less. I mean, your the precept of your question is accurate. But my counter argument would be, we have less of a sense of reality than we do in a couple weeks. Once every team has a couple games under as well, Zach and I are going to have a much better sense of this guy plays 27 minutes versus right now. There's just a lot of guys where everyone in the universe, with rare exception, is going to be like, yeah, this guy has a big range of minutes. So the lack of certitude when it comes to what we can expect to get out of people sort of swivels it back a little bit, where it's like, well, guys are going to be owned this much, trying to get a little lower on the ownership is another thing we can look at. Again, for me today, rule number one is don't fuck up and play people who aren't playing. Let other people screw up. Push your money later when possible. When in doubt, get the guys with guaranteed minutes. Get the guys who have coaches' comments behind them. Get the guys in the insane games like the Houston, Minnesota game or the Portland and Sacramento game. So I'm not, Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns. Those are great choices to have. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with either of those. Guessing which one's going to be 19% owned and which one 23 is a little sticky for me right now. So, and again, I'm not sure that's where you need to differentiate. There are times where you talk about like I like getting down to Vooch, who's going to be half owned either of those guys and save you some money. And I think and no one ever looked it up, or if they did, told me, I think dropped about a 60 burger on Stu's head the last time they met. So I think that's, got some merit there as an argument. I see one in here with Jokic. I would have Jokic behind certainly Towns and Embiid. Ayton did a very good job on him. I'm not saying don't play Nikola Jokic. You have no Jamal Murray around historically. That has meant Jokic can do amazing things. I do think that this will not be the same Monty Morris we have gotten used to. Some shit going to get real there. So I wouldn't say it's all the no Jamal Murray bonus, but still some of that, and he's going to have a larger role. But I would have him behind Towns and Embiid for guys I wanted to target. Ja or Fox, because of game times, probably Fox and save the money and have additional money to spend and use, but that's very, very close. Duarte and Giddey or Precious and Green DK cash. Precious and Green in cash. I feel good about that in cash. Jaylen Green, Precious Achiuwa over Giddey and Duarte in cash. My question was so poignant, I've frozen Zach. Zach?
Am I frozen? No, you didn't freeze me.
For a second. I didn't get an answer to my question. Precious and Jaylen Green or Giddey and Duarte?
Yeah, Precious and Jaylen Green.
Copy of Green. Very lovely. We're getting down to lock here. Triple J or MPJ? Again, there's a lot that's not similar between those two plays. Raw points, I have Triple J just a touch higher, or per salary, I have Triple J as a slightly better play. So without context, I'll say Triple J. I have no issue getting to MPJ. It's just tough. I mean, you get some nice pivot on Jaylen Green, who's going to be really highly owned. We're down to like 2 minutes and some change. I'm going in the news tank. I haven't been in the news tank in a while. Someone should clean this thing. It's disgusting.
We still need a little drop, for when you go into the news tank, whether it's a sound effect or
Thomas, our new producer, Thomas the train engine. Thomas is here. Thomas, I'm going to literally just be up in your shit at annoying times at 6:37. I'm going to be like, wham! I'm just going to show up and be like, put me on the show. And so I want you to make a wild, fast Eddie Fear approach. So when you play Pokemon and there's the black and white thing with the silhouette and we need a little graphic and we'll make my hair really ridiculous. So we need to do that too, but not in the next 90 seconds. Okay. Oh my God. Into the tweet deck. How I've missed you. Mm-hmm. I'm loading TweetDeck I only use TweetDeck for this exact purpose.
Back at home, finally, in the TweetDeck, in the news tank. Steph asking LaMelo and MPJ or DeJounte and Anthony Edwards. This is a higher stakes single entry. I'm leaning the LaMelo MPJ side. What say you, Eddie?
I would probably go with the other one. I have the first one projected for a little more, but I think there's a pretty significant ownership differential at this point. I think LaMelo is going to pick up a number at this point.
Okay.
And I think it's a 3-point difference doing it off the top of my head. So I think I would incline towards the second one in a tournament. But 10 people, I'd play the first one. 100 people, I'd play the second. It's going to be really close. So go with your gut. 1 minute.
Okay. Embiid or Cat more fantasy points?
I have Embiid for 1 point. I have Embiid for 1.2 more fantasy points than Karl Anthony Towns. Popovich says what he likes about Doug McDermott. He obeys the basketball gods. You're so wise. How are you excited? Aren't you excited to have Thad Young on the Spurs?
I'm excited to see what we can get for him.
I'm just saying, he seems like he's been playing for the Spurs for a long time. Something about his game can get a little handle, comes off the bench, a little overweight. Like there's a little Boris Diaw going out there.
Yeah, hey. I love the Land Walrus. One of my favorite Spurs of all time.
I love
outside
Boris
of
Diaw.
course,
He
the
was
Hall
great
of
in
Famers.
retirement too. He was just sitting there like his gut out on a boat, drinking wine and eating cheese. It's like
saw him and Patty and Manu, and I think Jakob Pertl were out getting coffee the other day. Saw us on Instagram or something.
Have you seen any of those old Spurs ads where they were doing ads for the local car dealership? Like, hi, I'm Tony Parker. If you come down,
dude, I've seen all of those. So the HEB ones are just classic annually. For our local grocery store down here in Texas.
Is that a Grant Williams starting? I see.
Yeah, I think he's starting at the 4, right?
Yeah. I just thought he was going to start next. No, I guess it's right with Brown back in. Sorry, the lineup didn't match my thing, and that's because I just got my Williams twisted for a minute there.
Well, Eddie, as always, it'll take me a minute or two to load it up.
No. I don't know if that's permanently retired. Absolutely not.
Come on, just like
I don't even know all the players on the teams right now. There's no way I am taking a crack at opening night 22 games, even the fucking 8. I don't know how many started. 3 games at 7? 4 games at 7?
I think 2 games. I think 2 games. Oh, come on, just like 3 of them.
Just to allow you guys to make fun of me? All right, I've had my. You know what? Okay, I've had my head up my ass with how.
So that main that filled on DraftKings was 39.2K entries, 500K prize pool with 100 to first. If anybody who's playing the Super Draft main could let me know how filled that got.
Oh no, I can tell you. You can tell you. I can't believe you don't know this. One of the amazing features of Super Draft. Look at this. I'm doing all my jobs at once right now. Is you can go. Look, I'm just going to pull my phone out. I'm going to show you right here. Boom. You can. They have a cool thing here. If you just load up the app, which itself is very attractive. There's a hamburger up here in the corner, and you click on the hamburger, and there's actually a thing here that says live contests, and you can actually look at any contest running on the site, even if you're not in it. So I can tell you right now that the NBA jump shot filled 4,693 out of 5,367 entries, which means that it got very close to breaking even 4,700.
Yeah.
I think it raked $1. So I think it's taking in $70,000 and $60 and paying it. So rake free, though completely free for those of you who got tickets from our good friend Kawhisenberg earlier tonight, who was nice enough to do all the hard work there for us.
Got Garland, Sexton, Markkanen, Mobley, Allen for the Cavs.
Mother of God. Garland, Sexton, Markkanen, Mobley out. Yeah, they did do it. Okay. That defense going to be bad. Holy shit. They're going to be terrible. And again, sitting in Ohio right now. Okay. So yet another reason to like Jaren Jackson Jr. Yet another reason to like Ja Morant. Ja Morant, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. I actually kind of like Colin Sexton now too, because the more I think about it, Dylan Brooks generally sits on Colin Sexton when they play. So without Dylan from 90210 in there, I would go with I think Colin Sexton makes an intriguing GPP play. I'd have to check his prices again. I think this game hasn't started, has it? Because otherwise, this advice would seem somewhat useless.
No, that's
a later game. That's a 7:30 or 8. Okay, that's good.
Oh, that's an 8 p.m. game. Yeah, at Memphis. All right, come on. Give me your top 3 here from the first 2 games.
Do I have to? A little surprising news from Orlando. Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner.
Really?
Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba getting the start. So Wagner
So they're doing the Cavaliers kind of.
getting in there and starting over Terrence Ross. What will he do? This is very interesting.
I would have thought Suggs over Anthony too, or both of them together, and Gary Harris at the 3.
Yeah, that's some weird shit. Anthony, Harris, Wagner, Carter, and Mo Bamba, number 5.
Obama, by the way, probably his best preseason game in this same matchup. 16 and 10, 5 blocks and a steal in like 26 minutes. And the most impressive part of that performance, Eddie, no fouls.
That is really quite something from now. Did Pirtle the Turtle play in that game?
He did, but he sat the 4th. And the game went to overtime, if I recall correctly. And I believe the game before, Mo Bamba fouled out in 13 minutes. So kind of
right.
The give and take of playing Mo Bamba.
What you're saying is there is a chance.
All right. Indy at Charlotte, Chicago at Detroit. Top owned guy.
LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo number 2 by less than 1%.
See, it's already
11 game slates.
Duarte
number 3.
So many players. Not Cody Martin.
No.
Yeah, he didn't get me. Like, no, fucking no.
He's not even on page 1 here.
Really?
No.
He's starting. Don't people know the value? He's a starter.
He's not starting.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. That's right. That's where I got confused. That's where I got my shorts twisted.
But the guy starting in the place we thought Cody was going to start, Kelly Oubre, 2%.
2%. Yeah, I was about to say, nobody's going to play Kelly Oubre either. Okay, so let's figure out who this can be. It's not going to be Plumlee. It's not going to be Bridges. It's not going to be Hayward. And the other starters are Oubre and Ball, who I've said. So it's none of them. What are the other teams? The Pacers are Pistons. Turner. It's not him. Sabonis. It's not him. It's not Sabonis. Sabonis will be like 5th, right? He's not 1st. Just answer my question.
Sabonis is 1st.
Is he? What did he get up to? It can't be that much of a number.
21%.
21? Yeah.
20 for LaMelo.
I thought he'd be like 15.
For Duarte.
That's interesting. Like, that's too much for me on a slate of this size and not starting at center.
Yeah.
I like Sabonis a lot, and clearly there's a lot to be done. But Brogdon's back there, so he's doing lots of the extra handling. And so
people are chasing that kind of.
The bonus is 21, Melo at 20, Duarte at 19, something like that.
18, yeah, right there.
Yeah, people are going to like that game more than the other one a lot. Who the hell was highest out of Chicago? Go ahead and read it down.
Yeah, check this out. 11.5 for Jeremy Grant. Then we jump all the way to 4.5 Vooch.
Wow.
4% Zach LaVine, 3.5 DeMar, 3% Lonzo, 2.5 Caruso, 2.5 Brogdon.
Yeah, I saw a Caruso question that I didn't get to. I was fine on Caruso. I have questions about usage and time. That's obviously something to suss out a bit. I don't know if we're on 18 minutes or 24. Like there's a bit going on there. And a lot of guys who are going to handle the ball a little bit for that team. Unintended, but that does something there. All right, let's talk about something else. Do we have?
Let's see. I feel like kind of teams/games we haven't talked much about, Eddie. That
we haven't done enough on Portland and Sacramento.
Yes, highest game total on the slate. Also, Houston and Minnesota should be up and down. Not a lot of defense.
Let's have a 5-minute break. Now that I've got my coffee, I'm ready to watch Radar. Okay, I need to find an additional beverage. I'll be back in just moments. Carry the show. You'll be great. You know that scene in the league where Bob Uecker gets up and he's like, "Carry the show, Morty," and Morty's like, "5-ball."
I haven't. I'm gonna see Alan in here asking if he can play Brandon Ingram.
I had a spare Mountain Dew here. The official beverage.
Oh, there you go. Of Fast Eddie Fear.
I poured them on my head.
I think the Waterloo sparkling water, the official drink of Kawhisenberg.
So I've actually lost. I got into a weight loss contest with Ricky from SuperDraft. as we are both getting old and fat. I slightly older and slightly fatter than he, but we got into a weight loss contest where we raced to a certain weight. We both weighed in at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, which is the sort of the SuperDraft offices west. We frequently have 10, 20, 100 people staying in that hotel at one time. Mm-hmm. We weighed in at the gym, and I was 243.7 pounds, and he was 242.1 pounds. We went, okay, here's the deal. We'll race to 215. So I'm spotting him 6 years and 1.6 pounds, for I'm a generous man and a considerate lover. But he basically gave up in 2 days. He just went, I just realized I can't do this. My wife makes all this shit, and I don't want it that much. But you go. So, I still have to leg work this shit out. Yeah. Again, I'm an old man. So, anyhow, I'm down. I was 224 this morning. So, I'm down 19 pounds in the last month and a bit. Ooh. And I'm working this out. The theory is I want to get to the 215 by my 45th birthday, which is under a month. We'll have a celebration on the show. So, that's the personal race I've created. And he's going to pay up. I might bring him on the show to publicly humiliate him because what the fuck? This is going to be out. We're going to do it together. Let's go, team. We're going to get healthier. He's like, yeah, I'm out. You see this shit? Look at the shit I'm eating right here. And he's literally hey, creme brulee, don't you love this? I'm like, yeah, really? Anyway, that's all things that have actually happened. Ooh, basketball clip. That's nice. NBA After Dark is the best. Again, I'm a little worried about NBA before lock right now. It's tough. My number one responsibility, as always, is people who are listening to the show and giving them the best possible advice on how to spend their money. That's a serious responsibility to me. So this I can do extremely well. My skill at bullshitting and just talking about general basketball and telling funny stories about weight loss and drinking Mountain Dew, I can do these things with no practice. Need to come up with as much time as possible. Now, the people at FTN have been really good. They've given me some help with some data research and some extra. So, I'm trying to, I was spending, one of the reasons, however good I may have been at this, that I was the fact that I spend massive amounts of time at it. I don't have massive amounts of time anymore, so I have to really up my efficiency. So there's new data reporting for me. There's I'm going to streamline the video I watch. So I got to find a way to do in 2 hours what I was doing in 5. That's really tricky. And again, I'm not going to be able to be on the air more than a couple times a week. That it's not something I like to skip days. So I have to look at the data, even the days that, you know what I'm saying? So days I have shows, I still need 4 hours, 2 to learn shit and 2 to show. I can't come up with 4 hours a day. Maybe a couple a day by constantly keeping track of stuff. But they've done a good job. They've bought me some gear. This is I'm making a new remote setup. This is my new remote webcam so that I can host shows on the road. This is my new remote lapel microphone.
Nice.
Got a new laptop and stuff. So yeah,
we're field mic.
We're making a commitment here, but yeah, I missed it.
Did you change your mic to maybe your computer? I feel like your audio got worse. I can still hear you fine, really? But to me, and maybe it's on my end.
Maybe it's on your end.
Oh, that's very nice.
Does it? Oh, thanks. That's okay. I had.
Yeah, it sounds better now.
There's a special. Okay, well, actually, what just happened was and feel free to make your old man jokes here. Here we go. So here is the microphone, and here's the spit guard, and this got a little loose. So look at the microphone carefully right here. What was going on was this.
Aha.
Right. So I just needed a little mic Viagra. Get that right back up there. Just think about Magic Mike, and we're good.
So we got the answer to...
You missed my Magic Mike joke, but go ahead.
No, I heard it. It's not your best effort. I'm being honest. We got Josh Hart starting in that 5th spot.
Boom. Nailed it. That was no one else said Josh Hart. There was a lot of Najee Marshall. There was some Trey in there.
Trey Murphy. Yeah.
Boom.
Did you happen across the Willie Green quotes about Trey Murphy competing for that 5th starting spot, though? He was saying that a lot in the preseason.
Yes.
And they ran massive minutes.
Yes. No, it was I would not have been shocked if Trey started. I thought any of those 3 guys were pretty close, but I had Josh slightly on top. Sure. So Suggs obviously playing off the bench. Josh Robbins, by the way, excellent reporter. So that's a good drop there. Kinnick. Pascal is in. Shots fired. Giddy or Barnes straight up. I will reproject them. Let's see if we have any. Also, a little bit concerned. My projections are going to need some work here, but we'll give it a try. Okay, so minutes. There. They're starting Achua. I have no data if that affects him. I have Giddy at 24 fantasy points. I have Barnes at 25.5. Side bet, Zach? Side bet, Zach? Barnes versus Giddy? I'm not going to be on as many shows this year. We have to bet on every fucking show. Let's go.
Let's do it. And it's a perfect time, Eddie, to...
Did you get like a new whiteboard?
No, but I just need to clean this one off from last year.
Oh my God. What does it say on it? I didn't see it. I couldn't.
Was there... Suns will average 118 points against Denver, 121.5.
Yeah.
3+ Suns on whatever Monday slate that was in the optimal lineup. That was a big old check mark for you.
Brilliant.
Jokic over Giannis in terms of ownership, another check mark for you. 20+ from Rondo in this series, check mark for you.
There you go.
We did a head-to-head on KD and Giannis ownership and DK points. I won both of those. I said Zubac would start game 2 of whichever series we were talking about. He did. And Zubac in the optimal game 1.
He was not.
He wasn't?
I thought that one was wrong.
Nope. Eddie says no. Check mark.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was pretty sure he was. Yeah.
That's my whole Zubac series. Loved
it.
Yeah,
you fascinated about it. Like, it's God if he had just left him on the fucking Lakers, just trading around for nothing. Is Suggs still in play? Yes, he's still in play. And people are like, is Trey Murphy still in play? If you're building 150 lineups and you're just not trying to do anything weird because it's opening night, yes, both those players are still in play. If I was playing, I probably would play none of either one. I just think there's too many other Giddy, Barnes, Maxey, Achua, like Duarte. Obviously, some of these guys have started, but I just feel like there's too many. There's enough where this feel a little more secure where those guys are down the tier. So in the standard question of are those guys in play? Yes. If you have more than 5 lineups, those guys are certainly not dead guys. They could play 25 minutes, score 32 fantasy points and get there. They're not dead players. They're in the top, I don't know, 80 players on the slate. They should be in your pool. I probably would have very little of them, and I would find other places. Like, I think some of the other value is just enough better that isn't where I would differentiate tonight. But Precious,
tell you something.
Go ahead.
I was just going to make an aside that has nothing to do with everybody's questions. But when I was cleaning out my office at the university,
I think that's my job. I think that's my job, by the way, to make asides that have nothing to do with what people are talking about. I know you're trying to take my job, and you will. Don't worry. But slow your roll. Bringing up random non sequiturs and red herrings is my job. Go ahead.
I was spending too much time with you, dude. I really wish when I cleaned out my office at the university that I would have taken my little bottle of like whiteboard cleaner. They had the big like full wall, obviously drawing up plays and all that genius stuff that I did back there.
Sure.
But yeah, not having it right now and doing this with a Kleenex is, especially with the Expo marker that's been there since the conference finals or whatever this was, tough to get it off.
Well,
also with the Giddy Barnes bet, are we doing DK points or what?
Sure.
I feel like we should do something with SuperDraft.
When in doubt, that's what I'm supposed to do. But you can't slam the SuperDraft down people's throats. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun when people get in there because it'll be plus value. So I feel fine talking about it and talking about it a lot. They are the sponsor of this show, so they deserve a decent number of mentions, and they will continue to get a decent number of mentions. That said, coming into tonight's show, we had a lot more people playing on DraftKings than playing on SuperDraft, so we should talk about them more. Because again, job one is to get people the value they need. But really playing on SuperDraft, especially if you're watching me and this guy, both dedicated SuperDraft employees, is also going to be plus money for you. So I think a good mix there is good for anyone. When will late swap work on the optimizer? Zach, do you know?
I saw Kyle talking about that. We've had a lot of questions about that, and rightfully so, because obviously NBA especially, I think it was Herm that was kind of pressing this in chat. You need that late swap capability in your optimizer.
Sure.
I know Kyle and the other powers that be that do the optimal, all that stuff that's way over my head, are working very diligently to get that up and running as soon as possible. So I don't personally have a timeline. Maybe somebody else that's listening that knows could chime in the Discord, but as soon as possible, I believe, is the most accurate answer.
Sorry to ask again, but Towns/RJ or Embiid and Din. Now I'm assuming that's RJ Barrett.
Yeah. Well, unless somebody's really going for it with RJ Hampton, right?
RJ Hunter.
He's still in the league?
Maxey's starting. I don't think he's still in the league. No. Maxey is starting next to Curry, Green, Harrison, Embiid as expected. Din is Dinwiddie. Yeah, I'm sure he means Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
And Towns and Embiid are the same price, and Barrett and Dinwiddie are about the same price. So I have Dinwiddie projected for higher than RJ Barrett and Embiid projected for higher than Towns by 8.25 and 1.25 fantasy points or something. So the second one for me is by far the better points play. I don't have an issue with either of the first two guys in GPPs. So it really depends on context, correlation, other things. But generally, I would land on the latter of those two players. Precious and Embiid or Cat and Giddey. I would play Precious and Embiid. He might play Cat and Giddey.
Precious Embiid. No, I mean, I'm on Embiid over Cat. So I think I would lean to the first one, but I have no, like, I love all four of those guys. Looking at the slate as a whole, if I was running one lineup, I would lean with the first one, though. You know, one other thing we can do, Eddie,
yes,
with our Top Shot moments to compete against each other is play head-to-heads on Moment Ranks play.
We could do that, but there's an issue. You have fucking 10 times as many moments as I do or whatever. Like, I go to Moment Ranks. You can go to Moment Ranks and put in user account Fast Eddie Fear. That's what mine is called. And it says this account is worth like $3,000, which, okay, I feel fine about that. And then you can go put in Kawhisenberg and it says this account is worth like $35,000. So I'm guessing this format you're recommending only allows you to play players whose moments you own?
Yes.
I suspect I would find myself at a small disadvantage. Don't get me wrong.
I know you have a lot of the studs though in your account.
I respect the hustle. Yeah, but I can't play like 9 LeBrons.
Oh, it's only a 5-player lineup.
Let's see what else we got here. Randall or Tatum for me. Because of the absence of Noel or Taj, that is just enough to tip me onto Randall. Again, start of night, I would have said Tatum, and I'm a pretty big fan of getting some exposure to either or both. But at this point, one, I would just end up on Randall. Terrence Ross or Bane on FanDuel. That would be Bane for me, especially with Ross not starting. They went with Wagner. Now, I expect Ross to have his normal role. I mean, I'm very ambivalent about that, but again, tonight isn't a find the weird night. So like Terrence Ross, most nights of this year, I'm going to be fine with. He's going to do his thing where he's going to play 26 minutes off the bench. His price is going to normalize in the mid-4s, and he's going to take between 6 and 13 three-pointers, and some days he's going to end up making 9 of them, and that's all kinds of good times. And he's about appropriately on. So some Terrence Ross exposure is good for the heart and soul. Tonight, again, I don't think you need to be that cute. There are just people who will not be as diligent as you or we, and that's the easiest way to make your money tonight. I think you can play tonight on your belly, and you don't need to be that cute. So I would probably end up with man. AEW or WWE? What a great question. I have had to remove many fun things of that nature from my life. So I have not had time to watch either of those things in a very long time. I'm working and spending time with my family, and that's about it, kids.
So at the Austin FC games, Eddie,
I was invited to the Wilder Fury fight. and did not go because I had to work. Just to give you an idea of the approximate values of my time expenditure in my life right now, I did go the next day. I was offered a box ticket to the Wilder Fury fight, free of charge. I would have had to have listened to some of the other SuperDraft employees, and that can be painful. You know what I'm talking about, obviously. Even though you just got here, man, the number of mean things you've said about other people at SuperDraft, I really can't believe you think that's a good idea. But anyway, but I went to the box seats at the Raiders game the next day, and boy, did I make the wrong choice between those two events, because that was an ugly-ass Raiders game. And I skipped the Fury Wilder fight to work. Oof.
You mentioned wrestling, and I think you've caught on by now that I've never been a big wrestling guy. But at the Austin FC game, they do somebody that beats the drum at the beginning. Everybody does a big chant. Mark Henry was doing the drum last week.
Really?
Yeah.
World's strongest man.
Indeed.
Vooch getting all the rebounds. Yeah, no one else was going to fucking get them. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, not on that team.
I'm just saying, Killian Hayes was not going to come in and grab 10 unless I bet against him with somebody, in which case he would come in and get his career high in rebounds. That is the
Our guy Jose getting some good preseason run for them.
Yes. Did you hear how badly I savaged Javi as we came on air?
No.
He was going off the air, and Javi said, "How are you going to top that, Eddie?" And I responded with, like all the guys here at FTN, I'm very well used to topping you, Javi. Good there. I made a joke that, is Javi married?
Yeah, just got married, I believe, right?
Got married. Yeah. We have the FTN family is growing rapidly. Javi, not that long ago, married. Congratulations. Help me out here. Who did we just find out? Josh Kalachi, our very own chief content officer. Blessed with a forthcoming daughter, going to join the girl dad tribe.
And shout out Vlad Sedler, second child, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We're spawning. We are like a swarm of salmon swimming upstream, indiscriminately spraying our seed. How is Bobby? Bobby is that? You know what? You should rerun like the Bobby thing, and I should. Bobby is upstairs. Boban is great. He's growing. He's not quite as big as his namesake yet, but he is a rambunctious and clever 3-year-old West Highland White Terrier. Bobby is excellent, thank you. Again, I've been busy, less breakfast, bacon, Bobby things, but Bobby's extremely well. He's happy. He's a dog. I haven't killed him yet. He has food, so he's good. He's low maintenance.
All right.
I really can't believe we've had like an 11-minute break in the show so you could erase a whiteboard. I'm not suggesting that this is the most riveting television anywhere, right? You could be watching Squid Game, or you could be... Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Fantastic handwriting.
Put up there. So how many tickets did we give away today? Did we get like 20?
I believe... So, well, here's the thing.
Yeah, tell me more.
I believe I was allocated 20.
Sure, but I know
only giving away 17.
You want to give away some?
We've got, yeah. You want to do some trivia?
We can give them for tomorrow. We could do trivia.
Want to do it in 2 minutes?
Let's react to breaking news. Right, I was about to say. Let's. We've got there's 2 7:30 games too. So let's slow our roll. Let's let me get back into the tweet deck.
Jake Anderson wants to tell you that your hair and beard combo looking as good as ever.
That's very kind.
By the way, did you know that Jake came on a show with me?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Jake and K-Shep Killicam, Cam Shepard was on as well.
You're part of my coaching tree then. That's how this works. I'm the Greg Popovich of this tree. He's like the Budenholzer or something, and like you guys are like the equipment manager for the Pelicans or something, but you got to start somewhere. That's great. That's really exciting. I'm obviously a huge fan of passing it on. I have bequeathed into the world previously a Rin pack. I take some credit for that, and obviously your ascendancy has gone pretty well.
Who, by the way, Rin pack, I'm assuming maybe had tuned in for a little bit. Got a little Twitter message from him. Maybe excited to meet Rin pack in the near future, in person, of course.
You guys are going to get together?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe at a SuperDraft party or something down the road. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. We do host a lot of parties, and frankly, an irresponsible amount of parties. Is there like real?
I don't know. I don't know if you can get to a number that's like an irresponsible like number of parties.
Well, we're trying. That's all I can tell you.
Well, you got to push the limits.
I'm watching. Okay.
Jake asked if you worked for Globo Gym.
His hair is
That's fucking
feathered,
good.
and it is lethal. That's very fair. The SuperDraft jersey thing really does take it over
does.
the top.
Which,
If
by
it
the
ain't
way, I want
white,
one of
it ain't
those.
right. No, that's very good. That's very good. That's very good. I have a real White Goodman thing going on now. I'm gonna have to process that.
WHIT.
Yeah. Nikola Vucevic draws a technical foul. Don't do me like that, Nick.
Did anybody tell Thomas that we stay on for hours?
I don't think so. So for those of you who are watching here, Thomas, who produces the show at this point, this is the first time his producer has to be like, yeah, especially if I only get to do one show a week.
Tino's here now.
We rotated. We've been on long enough. They're bringing in relief producers.
Sub in. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Slow-mo off the bench, Eddie. Some significant news there. DeAnthony Melton will slide in among the other
and
four starters.
Bain, Melton, Jaw.
Yep.
Triple J.
Against the Cavs, right? So they're going small against the
We're
Giant
liking
team.
Melton a lot. What does Melton cost? Tell me he's like 4,800 on DK and like 1.75 on SuperDraft. Talk to me about that.
Hold on. We'll pull it up.
I'll pull it up faster. Haha, I found
probably
it.
will.
He is 2.0. Oh my god. Oh. Sorry, there's some 2.0. 3,600 2.0. He's probably my favorite now. It's going to be really close just because he won't be owned enough. How long until that game?
29 minutes.
That is an 8. I don't think enough people are going to get there. And unlike a lot of the other guys we were talking about, Melton is actually a pretty proven quantity as far as fantasy production goes. Here we go. My first trivia question for you. Fantasy, you pick a number and I'll go over under. DraftKings points per minute last year for DeAnthony Melton.
1.05.
That's a good number. I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
So let's see. Career 0.95. Boy, I nutted that one. But last year, I said I would clarify, 1.02. Oh, put it on the board. That counts. I get a point for that. I'm up 1-0. That counts. That was perfectly legit. Right in there for
over under.
But yeah, he's a solid dude, and now he's playing these Cavs. So Melton now projects for 27 minutes and 28 3/4 fantasy points at 3,600 and lower owned than probably everyone else we just talked about. So yes, Melton is the guy we want.
Did you say how many minutes you would have? I know you probably just did.
I top of my head did 27. I could spend some time, and I'm going to get a number between 26 and 28. There's a ceiling of low 30s. Under 24 would be bizarre, but in this matchup,
I was going to say 24 to 26, but that still puts him out 26, 27 DK points, which for the price would be fantastic.
In this matchup, and with further, but he's just better than Bain, and he's going to be lower owned very possibly than. But like I to use the exact same numbers last year. So Melton we had at 1.02. Bain. Go ahead, take your shot at Bain. I'll give you double or nothing. You can take your shot at Bain before I hit enter. You have to trust me on this one. I wrote it literally. I've got it queued up, but I haven't hit enter.
Give me 0.83.
That's a good number. I don't know about that. 1.05 was too high. I thought it was gonna be like 0.98. So 1.02 is perfect. 0.83. You're saying for Bain. It's a really good number. I'm gonna take the under. But Desmond Bain had 0.79 DraftKings points per minute played in his rookie season of 2020 and 2021. Put on the board. I got another one there. Look at that. That's $200 you owe me.
Fun fact: if you go look up Desmond Bain's highlight tape on YouTube, his first clip, I'm in that on the sideline coaching against him.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's awesome.
We were down 3 or 4 at the half to TCU. Needless to say, Jamie Dixon was not inviting Southwestern University back anytime soon.
Yeah, you're supposed to be the easy spot on the schedule.
Uh-huh.
You're not allowed to put up a game. Rockets. Wait, the Rockets are starting Tate? I didn't think Tate was going to start. What is this shit?
Porter Green, Tate, Wood. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be EG, but I guess Tate.
So they
makes some
started
sense.
Green, Porter, Wood, Tice, Tate. Is that?
Yeah.
I'm find it again here. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess with Gordon not starting, that's that. Well, that's a slight negative for everyone but Tate. Don't play Tate. I don't. Well, I mean, you're playing the fucking Timberwolves, and you're going to be 2% owned. So, yeah, go ahead and play some Deshaun Tate if you want. He's thick. That boy's thick.
You can certainly play him on, like, if there's any sort of showdown or turbo slate.
Yeah, certainly. That's fun. Okay. Nice. Jonathan Fagan checking in.
I'm still buzzing that Tino, like, silently subbed in.
Yeah, tagged in. Thomas was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? It's like 7:30.
Tino, you're a Mets fan, right? If he's listening, he'll hit me in the chat here.
6th man of the year.
I wore a Mets shirt. Unfortunately, I have a Mets shirt that I want to share with him, so I'll be right back.
Do I work for Globo Gym? That's officially my highlight of the first. That's way too good. Like, my hair used to be much less refined and corporate, and so no one would ever ask that question. But yeah, this is woohoo, LaFleur. Yeah.
Here you go, Tino. The old Terry Collins. Our ass is in the jackpot now.
Nice.
Love that clip.
That's a great.
I cannot get enough of that clip. I wore that on one of the podcast streams a couple weeks ago.
Brilliant.
You got to give us a shot. You know what he did.
Thank you, Chuck Norris. All right. That movie is very quotable. That's obviously. Yeah.
That might be our number 2 after Tropic Thunder.
For you and I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
At least thus far.
Yeah. I mean, my go-to will always be the 1984 or 5 Ghostbusters. That is the most quotable movie in history. If you just sit there, like, someday watch that film, get a piece of paper, and just write down every time someone says a quip that's quotable, you're going to have like a black piece of paper at the end. That entire movie is just hilarious.
Yeah. I honestly get.
And by the way, you know what else I found in developing my own brand? Because, basketball is all about the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I have found that referencing like 35, 40-year-old comedies really keeps me fresh.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just want to get that out of the way.
I get a lot of Agador Spartacus quotes in my day-to-day.
That's excellent.
One of my favorite movies. Thoughts on Lonnie Walker IV as a giddy pivot? Our good buddy Tyreek. Lonnie Walker, one of the first rounders from 2018, left out of the extension mania the other day, obviously overshadowed by DeAndre Ayton not getting his deal.
He did not.
I think I'm just rolling with Giddy, man. Like, Lonnie's probably not going to start. I just don't. I've never been a big Lonnie guy from a fantasy standpoint. I love him. I like him as a player. I love having him on my, favorite team. And I am very. Hold him in high regard in terms of his actions away from the court. But I think tonight, man, I'm just rolling with Giddy.
Yeah, I think that would be correct. I don't think Lonnie is like an off-the-field play, but again, I don't think we need to be that cute. I would rather play Melton given that opportunity. Is Melton point and shooting? Right?
That would make sense. Let me double check.
This isn't FanDuel. People generally are playing the correct positions.
Point and shooting guard.
Point and shooting. Okay. So there could be a positional issue there.
Did you see FanDuel with the Tyus Jones small forward, power forward throughout the preseason and on today's slate?
I did, which is odd, considering he's really.
And I'll keep my head down.
He's just point guard, really. It's not even shooting guard. It's a little.
I'll keep. I think it was Draft Cheat that said like that's like listing Patrick Mahomes as a running back wide receiver or something like that.
Yep.
So that was a good analogy. And I'll keep my head down from talking too much shit about that because I know we still have Brandon Clark as a point guard eligible player, along with power forward. But
to give them credit. Now, I don't know how FanDuel manages, interprets, receives, or otherwise processes their data. But at SuperDraft and all the other, this is the third corporate DFS site I've worked at. You have a stat provider that gives you positions. It just comes in as part of the feed. Now, you can ask your stat provider, hey, how about this Tyus Jones thing? And usually they will make a swap because usually they have the ability to do it. But usually that is imported data. There's not someone who wakes up every morning and goes, oh, Tyus Jones, still a power forward. Like, that's not how that's going, which is marginally better. But usually, especially if you have the kind of panache and power that FanDuel has, you could get that swap in a day if you were so invested. So let's talk about some of these other games that we didn't talk about. You alluded to that. I think that's a good idea. So let's talk about a couple of these late games. Let's start at the end of the day here. Let's go ahead and talk about Portland and Sacramento. These teams suck at defense. We don't have any starters yet. I kind of like Robert Covington on SuperDraft, by the way. Robert Covington with the 2.0 multiplier. Okay, dude's going to play 29 minutes. I don't know, but he can do that whole steal block thing. Like, I'm not the world's biggest Robert Covington fan, not the world's biggest FanDuel DraftKings fan. SuperDraft, Robert Covington is a good man. He projects for a good 53 modified. That's a perfectly palatable number. That puts him in one of the top 10 or 15 plays on the slate for me. I just thought I should tell you.
Apparently, Chris Duarte smashing.
I would like to take some credit, except for the fact that I really just put him in a block with those other guys. But I liked him, marginally more. He was cheaper. So define smashing for me. I guess I could.
I'm trying to.
I will go look. It's okay. I have to do everything. Chris Duarte, 7 minutes only, 3 of 4 from the field, 2 rebounds, an assist, and 11 points. Yes, that seems very good. Only 1 foul, even though they brought him out in 7 minutes. So some reason to be concerned with the time distribution there. But
Sabonis. See Sabonis' line?
14, 3, and 1.
6 for 6 from the field.
Yes, he's done none of the missing. So he's a little better than Duarte for a slightly higher price. But yeah, they're both doing extremely well. Just frankly, the whole team is doing pretty well. Brogdon's doing balls. Brogdon's played 10 minutes, has 2 points and 3 assists. That's pretty bad. Okay, the other people are Duarte, who has 17 fantasy points in 7 minutes at 3,300 or whatever. That will do, pig. Miles Turner has 6 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, and 2 blocks in his 10 minutes. That's extremely good. Justin Holiday has 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal in his 7 minutes at a very cheap salary. And as you mentioned, Sabonis with basically 20 fantasy points in his 10 minutes. So yeah, the Pacers putting it on the Hornets. I thought this game would be a little closer. They're in Charlotte. They're only down 11, and we're just starting the second quarter, so not a foregone conclusion. But that's a bit of a whooping. LaMelo, 5, 2, 1, and 1 in 7 minutes. Definitely the evenness of those times is interesting. Watching these rotations. I don't have a lot of reading to do tomorrow because these rotations are very much interesting.
We did get a question from Easy B, who, by the way, Eddie, has been absolutely crushing any of the hoops that we've been doing the last couple months. It's always good to see somebody who's so active in our community really improve. At least the results are improving. Hopefully the process is being bettered by hanging out with the FTN folks. But Easy B's got a question about his lineup. He's got Christian Wood in his utility right now.
Okay.
And he's got 8,400 to work with. So is that your number one DK option in that price range?
By projection, I'm going to go back in here and change up, make sure I'm not missing any news.
I think you can get a Sexton, a Devin Booker. It's Jaylen Brown already locked. A Rudy Gobert. What draws my eye is the Brandon Ingram at 7,700.
So The highest projected player I have under $8,400 who has not yet played is Brandon Ingram at $7,700. I have Brandon Ingram currently projected for 42.25 fantasy points. And we are taking out Christian Wood, I think. I have projected at 38.25 fantasy points. So, yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing Christian Wood.
Yeah.
And the matchup is superb.
Yeah.
But
I'm personally a little worried about him being at the 4, Eddie, with Tice out there. And Şengün can back up both of them.
And Şengün can back up both of them, which look amazing. Like I've really enjoyed. Yeah. But they're low, and he's a real offensive weapon, and kind of no one else on this team is, especially if you take Eric Gordon out of the starting lineup. So you got KPJ and him and Jalen Green, I guess. Like you got 3 guys who are going to go out there and try to score some buckets, and with some fair amount of success. I probably still like Green the most because I just think Wood is going to get a lot of Jaden McDaniels. And I think, we'll see. Ask me tomorrow. You can put this one on the board. But I will go that the player who, this is just me a note. This doesn't have to be you versus me. But I will say that Christian Wood is guarded more by Jaden McDaniels than any other player. And Kevin Porter Jr. is guarded more by Josh Okogie than any other player, which leaves absolutely nobody who's halfway fucking decent to guard Jalen Green, because after that you've got Cat, Anthony Edwards, and D'Angelo Russell. Though there are wide reports that Anthony Edwards' defense is improving quickly. I don't think it's still good. I don't think it's yet average, but it won't be execrably terrible, which is reasonable.
We did get Thunder starters, Eddie. Derek Favors will make this get the start at the 5. Somewhat disappointing for me. I wanted to see Roby or even Jeremiah Robinson Earl kind of win that spot. But obviously Derek Favors, even at this point in his career, probably the most talented of those 3. And then no surprises alongside him, SGA, Giddey, Dort, and Darius Badley. Basically.
As expected in Utah. Yeah, what's the good you just mentioned? Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Yes, JRE.
Yeah, they're deep this year. It's gonna be very interesting to see who they roll in which spots at what time. We should see some backup Hassan Whiteside tonight. Yeah.
Indeed. We had a Hassan Whiteside night in the preseason.
Yeah.
And the Jazz sat everybody.
That will happen. You give that guy time. He's gonna produce points. He may not produce, wins. But points is always good time. All right, we got to do this thing for like 13 more minutes, and then I gotta skedaddle. I can't go much longer than 8. I actually have work to do. What you doing?
SuperDraft stuff. Now that you've snapped me back to reality here.
There goes gravity. I'm trying.
What are we thinking about? I feel like we didn't get completely through that Sacramento Portland game, which is pretty important.
Yes, critical. I think we should discuss that a little bit more. So I originally wanted to go through and just take a guy we liked on each team, and we completely abandoned that. And it changes per site, obviously. Like my favorite Blazer player, believe it or not, in SuperDraft is actually Robert Covington.
Yeah. Whereas
he would normally be he might be my number 5 player on the Portland Trail Blazers. But yeah, these two teams are dreadful defensively and will continue to be dreadful defensively and just don't have any. I mean, the Trailblazers were low-key the worst defense last year. Like, there was a lot of competition for who the worst defense was last year. And certainly Sacramento has a decent chance at the title. I'm curious, did we get clarity? Is Marvin Bagley out of the rotation or not starting? Because I have heard both sides of that, and that's a pretty relevant distinction for me.
It sounded like out of the rotation from what the statement his agency put out yesterday.
Right, but I felt like that was a miscontextualization of the actual, you know what I'm saying?
The reality.
Yeah. De'Aaron Fox, by the way, the king I would like most on SuperDraft. He was like my number 5 overall player. He's like 1.25 or something in a pretty outstanding matchup. So yeah, that's good to complete that dichotomy.
Did great in that matchup last year.
Yes,
as many guards do.
As I was about to say, as did all the guards except for James Harden, because that's the thing. But that's water under the bridge, over the dam, and down the river. Nurkic is good on SuperDraft too. He's got a 1.3.
I was gonna say he would probably edge out Covington for my favorite Blazer on SD, and I like him a lot at 7 flat too on DraftKings. I think he's going to go really overlooked on the main, be really low owned. And again, like we talk about the matchup for the backcourt of Sacramento going up against Portland, Nurkic going up against this front court in Sacramento is a fantastic matchup. Yeah, it's just, as always with Nurk, it's about the minutes.
Yeah, it's all good all around, but it'll be really interesting to see how much time they give Nurk. I think my last, I want to make sure I get this right, I'm at 29. I have him for like 39 or 40 raw. I think he was 1.3 on SuperDraft, so that's like a modified 52. That's fine. It's very good. It's going to be in the top 10% of players. He's very similar to what, like, say, Covington projects for. So I just think Nurkic is more owned than Covington. I just don't think, I don't know, maybe it becomes very public that he's out there at 2.0 and people are like, oh, geez. So that will be interesting. 8 minutes left.
I think one team we haven't really touched on at all today, and I think for good reason, just based on prices across the sites, is the Phoenix Suns hosting the Nuggets tonight. Are there any guys that are even really like secondary plays for you? I feel like if I was building out my 20, how I traditionally would, I don't think I would have any Suns in my build at all.
I would have Chris Paul.
Okay.
Chris Paul, I think, would be my first Sun in if I had to go there. He was obviously extremely good in the Nuggets series and does a good job at picking on substandard defenders. So he's able to actually go out there and pick on the worst guys there. So frequently MPJ, he can go out and isolate, and we saw a good bit of that. So I think I would rather go Chris Paul than Devin Booker in this matchup. You can obviously play Booker. You can obviously, if you're going to look across the entire game, you can play Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
Very good against the Nuggets. Certainly has some extra motivation today.
Mm-hmm.
Not terribly crazy. You can always play Jokic.
Do you think that falls apart, though, as a quick aside? I don't know how quick it can be, but like, if you're DeAndre Ayton, how pissed are you right now at the organization, specifically Bob Sarver?
Yeah, Bob has made some dicey decisions as an owner. They came out and you had, who's the GM? James Jones? I think James Jones is the GM of the Suns right now. Came out and actually did a couple interviews talking about what was going behind the scenes. And apparently they offered him the max for a few years, but wouldn't give him the max in 5 years. Not so much because of the fact that they thought he wasn't worth it, or they pivoted on that. I don't think they necessarily think he's worth it. And to be fair, he's an edge case. He's a traditional center in a league in which being a max value traditional center that's a really hard thing to do. Like, if
they don't make the run last year, we're not even talking about it.
Right. This he just simply wouldn't have been entitled. So I don't think it's nuts that he didn't want to pay him. But for the record, he didn't want to pay him. But they came out and said the issue was that you are only allowed to have X guys on it. It's a CBA thing where you're only allowed to have like one guy who has signed for the max off a rookie deal on your roster at a time. So there was like a weird thing when there were a couple times last year where guys couldn't get traded because like the Celtics couldn't take Anthony Davis because they had Kyrie or something. Like there is some weird thing where there are weird requirements of roster designation that don't allow him to get moved. So they had James Jones came out, which is weird. You very rarely see general managers come out from behind the desk and be like, this is what we were thinking. This is what we offered. Here's where the thing. So definitely an interesting sort of a statement to see him come out and defend Robert Sarver.
Herm had a good question, I think, just to kind of jog our memories. He says he thinks he remembers that the Blazers were not necessarily the defensive sieve that they were for the first 2/3 of the season. He says he thinks they got, or he remembers them improving drastically in the last third of the season. I don't have any memory of that off the top of my head, so I just wanted to know if you could recollect.
I can't offhand when he says that. I do recall, like, by the extent that I knew they were really bad and improved to the extent that there was a while I remember saying, they're really fucking bad right now. Watch out for this team. They should be targeted more, where that I don't think I ever would have had them the worst, but they were bottom 3 for a while. And I talked about it a lot. Like, this is really a plus matchup that I think goes more under the radar than it should have. But I would presume, because I remember that being a period of time and not the entire season, that there was some substantive improvement. So sounds right.
Herm following up saying he has no data on that, just thought it locked into his brain. No real data to verify if it's real or not.
3 minutes before lock, I'm not going to go look it up, but you can look up defensive rating by month or points allowed per month or ADRT. Like, you could pick any number of defensive stats and do it by month, and it would probably help you out a little bit there. I'm trying to think who their key injuries were last year. They did miss some Covington time. That's never going to help their defense. I'm looking at
Didn't Norman Powell get hurt for a while? Derek Jones Jr. was out for a while.
DJJ was out for quite a while.
He was supposed to be kind of like the
I would
savior
have
finally.
I would have Maxey over Suggs. Sorry to interrupt. When can you start tilting Scotty Barnes? Oh, no. Not the guy I bet on. Yeah. No. I think we're literally like 6 minutes into the game. So that is a little, but he has no stats. He's
4.5 minutes into the game.
He's rocking in that case, he's rocking the 4 trillion at the moment. So when can you start tilting him? I would think when his first shift is done. I think that's the appropriate. He had a shift and didn't score. Yes, I think that would be the good time to panic.
Yeah. Franz Wagner, Stoneman on DK. Think he could feel like he could get a few boards. I mean, probably with Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter out there with him, and Cole Anthony, and who is it, Gary Harris out there? More so Cole Anthony taking up a lot of the usage. Franz was not productive in Summer League, and there's a lot more talented guys around him now. Saying that, just comparing to like Giannis Timma and other guys who were with him in Summer League.
He's no Mo Wagner.
No, he's not. Who, talking about brothers in the league, right? Like, they have both Wagners.
They did for a brief moment.
Is Mo gone now? I thought he was still with the team.
For some reason, I had the sense he wasn't there today, but that doesn't mean he's not with the team. It doesn't mean I'm even right that he's not there today. But he's obviously been de-emphasized as a part of the.
Maybe
they tried him out as
trade a Wagner to the Heat so that he can just keep accumulating
one
single
of the brothers.
Yeah,
they need to get a Thanasis or a Costas Antetokounmpo then.
Bring Costas back from the EuroLeague.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes rebound. Oh, there you go. Say,
you're on your way.
He's on fire. That's basically what you're saying. I'm now. There it is.
Good start for the Wizards.
All right, I'm going into
Precious
news tank
team,
again. Someone needs to clean off all this algae. First round of sub. Scotty Barnes stays in. He's a trooper. They know they need him out there. His leadership or something. Boom, 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 boom.
Tell you what, I am ready
Jaylen Brown putting up a number. But
is he?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll apologize to Blaine then, because my buddy Blaine, I was talking him off playing Jaylen Brown earlier.
5 for 6 from the field, 14 points, a rebound, and an assist in 6 minutes. Jason Tatum, 0 for 1 from the field. Just how I planned it. Bob Williams, 2 points, a block, a rebound. Mitchie the Kid, Mitch Robinson, 2 points, 2 assists,
2
and
assists,
3 rebounds, 2 dimes. He's got handles.
I wonder what's his career high for assists.
Are you ready for the trivia? Let's go. You posted
let's do it.
I have to give the number. You go over under. Ready? Here we go. In the NBA, his high for assists in a game is. Do I give a half or a whole number here?
It's got to be a half, right? Because it can't be that it's not going to be a high number.
Right, exactly. Like if I get the pick, I think it would be unreasonable. So I will say my over under is 4 1/2.
Yeah, I'm going to go under. We just hit that 8 p.m. lock, so we'll just peruse some ownership here. And maybe...
you said under?
Is it 5?
It's 4. Put it on the board. You got me. He has had 4 assists in a game 2 times.
On his way to a 5er tonight, though.
Well, I'm about to say, hold on. What if he gets it tonight? Like I asked tonight, the game had already started. Does that cover me? His career high would be 5 on this day. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, what say we look at some ownership, give away a couple tickets, and get out of here?
All right, let's do it quick. I gotta get out of here. I'm getting crammed. I haven't been working for an hour, and I think things are exploding.
What should we do? Should we do some trivia in the chat for those who are still sticking around?
Yeah, for anyone who's for the subscribers. So like for the free people watching the show, no soup for you. But for the subscribers in the FTN chat, giving you access to our excellent Duarte's getting there. Barnes not doing it for me. I feel like I was pro Barnes and Duarte versus you. I feel like that was.
Yeah, I mean, Giddy was my number 1 out of that kind of group of 3. I would have probably gone Giddy, Precious. Barnes,
you and I both like Precious, I think, more than we thought the field would. But yeah, we subs. So let's give some stuff away to the subs. Now, I don't know how big the main event's going to be at tomorrow. We didn't post it, did we? Is it up? Is it there?
I can check.
I don't think it's up yet. So we got to give away tickets at the appropriate value. It's very confusing.
True. I can just take down names and pass them along.
Taking names.
Main is up. Contests are not, or the GPPs are not. Okay. But we'll get there.
Mitch 4, 5, and 2. Yes, Mitch. Randall 6 and nothing. 6 points. Rodolfo.
The thing about Randall though is he could do nothing for the first quarter and still be totally fine because he's going to play 1 million minutes.
Yeah. FanDuel single entry Mitchell or Fox. I think I still have to go with Fox there.
Yeah. I'm a big Spider fan. Spencer Dinwiddie currently pole position 44%.
44? Okay.
Yeah.
I would have
Scotty
guessed
Barnes
higher, but
Scotty Barnes at 40. Then the most recently locked guys, Tyrese Maxey 37, Triple J 31.5. Fred VanVleet came in at 28.5, and then 3 guys that just locked at 8 p.m. Eastern: Joel Embiid 25, Jalen Green 24.5. Karl Anthony Towns, 21.5.
Okay, so Embiid did get Towns by a little. I was really back and forth on that one.
Yeah. All this is telling me is that these late games are going to be really under-owned.
Seems like there's a lot of ownership bouncing around here. I'd have to look at it and work on it.
Precious Achiuwa, 21%. Sabonis currently at 34.25 DK points. OG Anunoby, 17. Anthony Edwards, 17. Brandon Ingram, 14, I love.
Oh, my God. It's so good. What
Desmond
are you doing?
13.5.
Who is
D'Anthony Melton's 6.5.
Oh, my God. Oh, somebody changed my shorts. 6.5 on Melton. He might be the best projected value play on the day. I'd really have to look at it and get a better sense, but
yeah,
give me a month and then I'll go back and look at the second day of the season and be like, no, Melton, I think would have been the highest projected guy. He'd be very close to it if not. At 6%, he's the best play on this league right now, probably for me.
Yeah, Mobley 12. Kyle Kuzma came in at 10.5. Tobias Harris at 8. Christian Wood 7.5. That's not bad either.
Okay.
Trez Harrell 6. RJ Barrett 6. Time Lord 6. Beal 6.
So the Pacers, with 4 minutes left in the first half, have 60 points. Torrey Craig has 3. Justin Holiday has 5. Miles Turner has 7. Malcolm Brogdon has 7. Chris Duarte has 16. And Domantas Sabonis has 22.
Wow.
With 4 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
Jesus.
That boy good.
Kevin Porter Jr. 5%. I like that.
Sure.
Who else? Daniel Gafford 5.
Sure. I mean, people are a little too excited about that extension. Like,
Yeah.
I like Gafford a lot. I got 7
Yeah.
minutes or something. Like,
Yeah. Slow-mo off the bench at 3. J-Val at 3 is pretty nice. John Morant 2.5. D'Angelo Russell 2. Malik Beasley 2. Seth Curry 1.8. Funaki 1.5. Trey Murphy 1.5. Eric Gordon off the bench 1.5. Alec Burks 1.4.
all right.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker 1.2.
Yeah, it's really good. Also very good.
Any other? Colin Sexton 0.6.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Like, the primary defender on him is missing, and that's going to be
Kyrie Thomas, wasn't he like 6,000 something? He was like 6 or 6.6.
Really?
Yeah, 0.3% owned.
Bulls have 35. That's the 2 7:00 games. 3:15 left in the first half. The Pacers and Hornets have 112 points on the board, and with 1 minute left in the half, the Bulls and Pistons have 79.
Wow.
Woof.
Are the Bulls losing?
They are losing by 3.
Somebody check on Winky.
By the way, for reference, even though they're doing fuck all, he's 5 for 14 from the field. Vooch already has his double-double. Vooch has 10, 11, and 2 in the first half. And it's a 2-point game, so if he's exactly this shitty in the second half, he'll have 20, 22, and 4, which is, I still feel pretty good about that call, but we'll see.
Armani Brooks held 0.3% ownership.
Funaki is Steven Adams. Also, SmackDown's #1 announcer. But someone said, who's Funaki? And so I had to clear that up. Fast Eddie Fear Challenge. Got to drop one Shakespearean quote, but it must be relevant to this opening night mega slate. I'm struggling to think of a Shakespearean topic that is relevant to a basketball slate. Like, I can drop any number of Shakespeare quotes off the top of my head. Let's see, 11. Trying to think of the number of 11 in Shakespeare. I don't have that. It's the second day of the season. Second night, we 3 shall meet. Ethiop's ear. I don't know. I'll go with I am but mad north by northwest. When the wind is southerly, I can tell a hawk from a hen saw. There you go. You got that.
Very impressive.
I got nothing. That's just some Hamlet off the top of my head.
612% total ownership so far. So 188% left for the final 4 games.
It's really good.
Yep. I imagine you're going to get minuscule ownership in this Orlando-San Antonio game.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going there.
So I think your DeJounte Murray probably going to be at a very nice number. Maybe your Jakob Poeltl as well was solidly in play.
Yeah, I think Poeltl the Turtle was a perfectly reasonable play there. I noticed ever since you started taking a big hand in the rankings, the Spurs are all looking a lot better.
Are they? Because I got multiple questions about why is DeJounte Murray not higher.
What do you have him at? Do you have him at 8?
I had him at 8 initially, and I honestly think I fat-fingered it because I wanted to have him at 9. It's 6'8" with his role on this team.
Yeah, I think 9 is correct. He's established himself as he's really. Even Pop was talking about he's one of the leaders on the team, like all kinds of good stuff there. So I would have thought
was my second, and then everybody else was an afterthought.
Yeah, I changed 30 or 40 guys based on projections and a couple stuff, but all just like a one up and down, and nothing was crazy.
Sure.
You've never truly experienced Shakespeare until you've heard it in the original Klingon. That is Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered country. Tak ba, tak be. There's a whole Klingon Shakespeare thing. Let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. That scene, I actually know backwards to forwards and the 11 Shakespeare quotes in it. But
Yeah.
just when you thought, so just to be clear, knowing Shakespeare off the top of your head, that'll get you here. But knowing when the Shakespeare is quoted in Star Trek movies, no, you can't. Let's let the dogs.
That's another level.
Yeah. No, that's a whole nother thing. Fucking Christopher Plummer was in that one. Christopher fucking Plummer. Academy Award winner Christopher fucking Plummer was in there as Klingon General Chang. He was very good. So
what say you we come up with 3 trivia questions?
I can't. We'll hold it till tomorrow. I gotta go. It's
Okay.
8:10. I'm an old man. My time is valuable. I'm receiving some messages. But no, it was excellent. I have to go. If you want to give away 3 tickets in the chat, by all means,
Sure.
go into the chat and conduct yourself as appropriate and give yourself away some 3 tickets. Thanks for everyone who made it to the show. Everyone who stayed the full duration, give yourself a big round of applause. That was 2 hours and 10 minutes and 3 hours and 10 minutes if you were there for our the opening act.
Mm-hmm.
The apparently excellent. I think it was Javi and was it Tenacious D or Joe?
Yeah, no, it was TDJ and Javi. The classic pairing. Obviously, both of those guys crushing it across all sports.
I have heard. Yeah, no, there's the one reason I did not feel bad about being absent for a few months was every time I checked in, you guys were absolutely crushing it. Preseason, summer league. Not surprised, but definitely pleased to see. So, okay. Yes, great to see you guys again. My friend Zach here is going to give away some tickets. So I am off, everyone. I don't know how to. So we're on like the StreamYard thing. I don't know how to go.
Real quick before we go, we have an outro actually, so there will be some sort of overlay. Yeah, it's great. Gary Harris scratched hamstring, so maybe Terrence Ross.
Let's take a minute.
Maybe
I assume they put T. Ross back in.
Could be RJ Hampton.
Yeah, if we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. See, I was like, I'm mended, and that's as close as I'm getting. Well, let's reproject this team. We get some really nice low ownership on these guys. Again, not a big starting. Suggs is getting it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think he was going to be over-owned based on the fact that they brought. And again, he's like they've specifically discussed the fact that there are fatigue issues, and like they didn't want to overwhelm him. Yeah. So. They're still going to start him next. So it's going to be Anthony, Suggs, Wagner, Carter, and Bamba. Another team going with lots of big dudes out there. All right. So as far as a change, Ross better now. I think you'd move up Ross's projection from 25 to 27 minutes. I think is how it would go. But Suggs, is now probably a little under-owned or appropriately owned. Like he was talked about a lot today. I imagine a lot of people pivoted off. So you can get back there pretty good. So I would be pro Suggs at the moment.
SuperDraft 2X.
Yeah, any of the 2X guys there, that certainly works there. Yes. Very good. Very good. All right, everyone. We will continue to take all your questions in the chat. Hit the outro music.